Is your Instagram reach declining? Does it feel like whenever you post, you get less and less views? Do you feel like the algorithm is actually against you? Why am I here? To be honest, it actually could be, since the Instagram algorithm is pretty much crazy from time to time. However, there are different ways to come out of a so-called shadow ban, i.e. them taking away your precious reach. Now, before we're gonna identify which shadow ban you might have, because there are different forms and different solutions, which I feel nobody ever talks about, let's first take a look at some of Instagram's white lies when it comes to shadow banning, because it seems like they've been lying about that. Back in 2018, Instagram had a whiteboard press conference talking about how their algorithm works. I've linked it down below. And one of the things they've said in that press conference is that, I quote, shadow banning is not a real thing. And they said that they don't hide people's content for posting too many hashtags or taking other actions. But as we all know, we've done a video here discussing their terms of service, and turns out, yeah, there actually is content they don't show as much as others. There actually is content that they don't recommend at all in the explore page. So yes, shadow banning is a real thing, despite them saying no. So it turns out they've been lying all along. What a surprise. And because it seems like they got caught, mostly because they were filtering certain topics that probably shouldn't get filtered, they came out with this new tool called, and this is pretty new, account status, which basically tells you whether you've been a good kid in terms of Instagram's eyes and whether they restrict your reach because of that. So first of all, naturally, and this is just a tiny step of the whole shadow banning thing, the first thing you need to do is go to your settings, account, and then go to account status and take a look at what it says there. And if they say there's nothing wrong with your account, you're not shadow banned, right? Because why would they tell you something different? That's not true, huh? Wrong, obviously. Because yeah, looking at accounts, we figured out something more interesting. There's more or less two types of shadow bans that need different solutions. Let's call the first one type A, and that happens if you've done something wrong. You've got an action block, for example, or content removed or talked about fake news, even though they turned out to be true just a month afterwards. Let's call this a hard block, because usually you'll notice a pretty significant drop, like 50%, 80% decrease in engagement pretty suddenly. And this type A is pretty easy to fix. In most cases, you just have to stop doing bad stuff, trying to avoid appearing like a spammer, really appearing like a spammer. Remember, the algorithms are kind of weird and overly protective. So, for example, if you've gotten comment blocked for 24 hours, don't even try to make a comment for at least a week, right? Just to be safe. Or let's say story blocked, you can't watch another story. The more often you trying to see if it works again, if they say it's 24 hours story blocked, and you try to see in 23 hours or something, maybe it was a mistake, maybe it works again. No, the more you do that, the more flags you're gonna get, and so forth. Now, there's a few more things that kind of go together with this type A that we're gonna talk about right after we talked about type B. This is when you slowly start to see a decline in reach and engagement, and there could be, again, different reasons for that. Reason number one, and this is probably the most common one, it is most likely not the algorithm. It's actually not really a shadow ban, because the algorithm's just noticing that people, your followers, care less and less, because you just don't get good metrics. You don't get the good stats. Why? Yeah, we talked about this briefly. Because your content is probably not in alignment with what your one true fan, what I call your avatar, really wants. In that case, and you actually really got to be honest with yourself, you have to start working on your content strategy and working out who it actually is that you create content for. In most cases, there's just a bunch of tweaks that you need to make to actually speak to your ideal audience again with your content. And usually this should be a continuous process, because yeah, platforms change, obviously, the world changes. In my Instagram Black file, we actually have some pretty sophisticated exercises for that. And yeah, we're also gonna have some important updates about this whole process, some refined process, if you will, inside the next update that will drop probably at the end of the month. But think of this whole thing as this. Your content gives them this. Your old audience like this, but because the world is moving and now your audience moves with it somehow, your audience wants this. And if you find out what this actually is, you pretty much won the game. So dig a little bit deeper into your actual demographics of your ideal followers and adjust your content accordingly, and you'll see your content get more reach again. This being the non-Shadowban Shadowban, if you will, which a lot of you guys actually have. But that's not all, because you could also have a mix between both types, which is usually harder to spot and react to. And the other thing is they also don't immediately take away your reach. Whether it's type A or type B, sometimes, or usually there's like a delay of 2 to 3 weeks of you doing something wrong, and then they start to hit you with some measures. Now, how are we gonna fix that Shadowban? You know, whether it's type A, type B, or a mixture between both. First thing, like we said, you have to be really honest with yourself. If the main reason is not type B/1, aka your content just sucking, that's a weird way to say it, but yeah, and your account status says it's all fine, here's what I would do. First of all, whenever you get an action block, obviously, tap the button letting them know this is wrong, Instagram, this is wrong, you've made a mistake, right? All the time, do it, all the time, really important. Additionally, you have to do this other thing, which is sort of a new thing. Go to your settings to help and then report a problem. Do this like once a day. And then hit the report a problem and tell them exactly what it is. Sometimes maybe you can even include some screenshots. Important thing is, do this once a day. Kind of weird, counterintuitive, because I always say don't appear like a spammer, but a real spammer wouldn't even be able to do this. Yeah, chances are sort of low that they will actually take a look at this, but we've had people where just suddenly things started to happen again after they have done this, you know, at least once a day for weeks. Actually, you know, just have to tell you how it actually is. Now, the other thing that I would do is checking if there's anything else that could lead to you getting flags. For example, links in your bio, you know, spammy links in your bio, or you change the links in your bio a lot, also pretty bad. Another thing that we have seen is probably, and we don't have really conclusive evidence of that, but links to other social media platforms such as YouTube, for example, might be bad too. So, you know, just to be safe right now, don't put them in. Another thing that we have seen quite a lot people do is, for example, people having post scheduling tools that are not official partners in there, or an unofficial analytics tool, or these tools where they say, look at your Instagram stalkers. Wow, you know, it'll track who unfollows you and stuff like this. Yeah, make sure you stop using that. Make sure you detach them from your account, as we've had many people get their reach cut down because of that, because it's not officially endorsed by Instagram. Another important thing, and we've talked about this before, is analyzing your followers and removing wrong ones, you know, even though that might seem counterintuitive, either because they're not part of your ideal follower circle anymore, or, and it's most likely the most important one, because they're spam bots that you just get naturally by just being on the platform. And here's the thing, the longer you are on Instagram, the higher the chances are that you have a lot of spam fake followers that just clutter up your follower list, that just confuse the algorithm. So, you know, this is another reason why accounts that are older tend to have lower reach, in my opinion, because over the years, so many fake mass spam bots have targeted them. Going through them every once in a while and removing them helps quite a bit. I do have a safe analyzation and removal service of those ghost spam followers from my agency, actually, that I developed, down below in the description for you. Now, the last thing, which a lot of people probably forget, is being really mindful of what and how you post it on Instagram in order to not get caught in this whole Shadowban loop again. Which is why you should watch this video where I'll break down the various types of content you should avoid, since yeah, they will get you Shadowbanned officially by Instagram, hidden in their terms of service. So really important that you watch this.